What would happen if I told you that up to now you have only lived a fraction of what you really are? That what you call me is nothing more than a shadow of your true being, a small part of a vast structure that operates beyond your conscious understanding. For centuries, the wise men of different traditions have taught that our existence is not reduced to a single body, but we are made up of four essential dimensions, four bodies that determine our perception of reality, our evolution, and our connection with the universe. But here is the key. You cannot wake up until you understand and balance these four bodies. Until you do, you will remain trapped in an illusion, disconnected from the true essence of your soul. It is like trying to turn on a lamp without realizing that the cable is not connected to the current. You can turn it on and off the switch over and over again, but the light will never appear. This knowledge has been transmitted from generation to generation, hidden in ancient texts, veiled in mystical symbols, and reserved only for those who are ready to see it. Today, we are going to reveal this secret. We are going to explore each of these four bodies, their function, their impact on our lives, and most importantly, how to harmonize them to achieve true awakening. Pay attention, because there is something crucial in this knowledge. The fourth body, the most mysterious of all, is the key that connects everything. Understanding it will not only give you answers, but it will change the way you experience life itself. So open your mind, relax, and prepare for a deep journey to the core of your existence, because what you are about to discover can transform your reality forever. Since time immemorial, various spiritual traditions have tried to answer one of the most fundamental questions of existence. What is the human being really? For materialists, we are only physical bodies, flesh and blood, guided by biological impulses. But the sages of antiquity knew that this vision is an illusion, a limited perspective of what we really are. The knowledge of the four bodies dates back to millennial civilizations, from Egyptian mysticism and Hermetic teachings to the Vedic wisdom of India. In ancient Egypt, the priests of the temples taught that the human being was made up of different bodies or principles that coexisted simultaneously. Among them stood the Ka, the vital body, the Va, the soul that transcends death, and the Ak, the divine light that unites the universe. In Hindu tradition, this same idea is expressed through the five koshas, or envelopes of the being, ranging from the physical body to pure consciousness. According to the Vedas, the human being is like an onion, with layers that must be understood and transcended to reach enlightenment. In Hermeticism, we are told about the principle of correspondence. As it is above, it is below. As it is inside, it is outside. This axiom tells us that everything that happens in the universe has its reflection in our interior. If we have multiple levels of reality in the cosmos, why should we not have them also within us? Buddhist philosophy also tells us about the existence of different bodies or levels of existence. In Dzogchen, one of the highest teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, we are told that the human being has three fundamental bodies: the physical body, the energetic body, and the body of light. The latter is the manifestation of pure consciousness, the state of enlightenment that few achieve. But here is the key question. If this knowledge has existed for millennia, why is it not taught in conventional education? Why do most people live without even suspecting that there are deeper dimensions of their being? The answer is simple. Because a human being who understands and dominates his four bodies is a free human being. And inner freedom is the greatest threat to any system that seeks to control the masses. So pay attention, because what we are going to explore next is not just theory, it is an invitation to awaken. We are going to delve into the mystery of the four bodies of the soul, breaking down each of them so that you can understand their function, their influence, and most importantly, how to align them to achieve true awakening. Now that we understand that the traditional vision of the human being as only flesh and blood is an illusion, it is time to delve into the 4 bodies that make up our existence. Each of them plays a key role in our development and evolution. Without their balance, we live fragmented, trapped in a cycle of confusion and limitation. We begin with the first 2 bodies, the physical body and the emotional body. The physical body is the most evident and tangible of all. It is the way we inhabit in this plane, the bridge between our consciousness and the material world. Through it, we experience pleasure, pain, fatigue, and vitality. But although it seems solid and independent, it is actually just an external manifestation of more subtle energies. Ancient traditions knew that the physical body was not a simple shell, but a sacred temple that had to be cared for and purified. In yoga and Ayurveda, for example, we are told that the quality of our food, the air we breathe, and our daily habits determine the vibration of our being. An intoxicated, sick, or exhausted body becomes a barrier that prevents the awakening of consciousness. But here is an even deeper secret. The physical body is not only flesh and blood, but also energy and motion. Modern science confirms this through quantum physics. We know that, at the subatomic level, our bodies are composed of vibrating particles that respond to consciousness. What we think, what we feel, and what we believe directly affect the structure of our biology. So, if you want to take the first step towards awakening, start with taking care of your body. Conscious feeding, exercise, deep breathing, and connection with nature are fundamental, not because the physical body is the most important thing, but because it is the basis from which other bodies can align and expand. Beyond the physical body, we find the second level of our existence, the emotional body. This is the domain of our feelings, passions, fears, and joys. While the physical body feeds on food and oxygen, the emotional body feeds on experiences and relationships. Emotions are not simple chemical reactions in the brain. They are energy in motion, and they have the power to elevate or imprison us. Every emotion we feel generates a vibration that affects not only our health, but also our ability to manifest the reality we desire. When we feel love, gratitude, or compassion, our vibratory frequency expands, aligning us with higher states of consciousness. But when we let ourselves be dragged by fear, anger, or sadness, we create blockages that affect not only our well-being, but also our connection with the other bodies of the soul. Most people are trapped at this level without knowing it. They are slaves to their emotional reactions, repeating patterns of suffering without understanding their origin. This is because the emotional body is intimately linked to the subconscious, where traumas, limiting beliefs, and memories of other lives are stored. Freud expressed it masterfully. Until the unconscious becomes conscious, the subconscious will direct your life, and you will call it destiny. If we want to wake up, we must learn to master our emotions instead of being dominated by them. This does not mean repressing what we feel, but observing it consciously. Through techniques such as meditation, shadow work, and introspection, we can release stagnant emotions and transform fear into wisdom, anger into conscious action, and sadness into compassion. Up to this point, we have seen that the physical and emotional bodies are the basis of our existence. But here is the dilemma. Without the guidance of the mind and spirit, these bodies can become prisons. We can have a healthy body and feel intense emotions, but if we do not know how to direct them, we are still trapped in the illusion. And this is where the remaining 2 bodies come in. In the next part, we will explore the mental body and the spiritual body, the most subtle dimensions of our existence, which determine whether we live trapped in the matrix or whether we wake up to the truth of who we really are. Are you ready to discover it? So far, we have explored the first two bodies that make up our existence: the physical body, the vehicle with which we experience the material world, and the emotional body, the energy field where our deepest feelings and vibrations reside. But these bodies, by themselves, are not enough to reach awakening. Without direction and purpose, the physical body becomes a simple biological machine, and the emotional body, a chaotic storm of impulses and reactions. To transcend this prison, we need to understand the two highest levels of our existence: the mental body and the spiritual body. The mental body is the center of our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. It is the tool with which we process reality, create ideas, and give meaning to our experiences. But there is a truth that few dare to recognize: the mind. When it is not understood or trained, it becomes our greatest prison. Since we are born, our thinking is molded by society, education, culture, and family history. They teach us to see the world in a specific way, limiting us to certain paradigms and restricting our potential. Have you ever felt that you repeat negative patterns without knowing why? This happens because most people do not control their mind, but are controlled by it. This is where the mind can play a dual role. It can be your jailer. If you live trapped in limiting thoughts, anxiety, and imposed beliefs, your mind becomes a wall that blocks your evolution. Or it can be your liberator. If you learn to observe your thoughts, question your beliefs, and direct your approach, your mind becomes the most powerful tool to manifest the reality you desire. Ancient traditions have spoken of this power since time immemorial. Hermetism, for example, teaches the principle of mentalism. Everything is mind. The universe is mental, which means that the reality we experience is nothing more than a reflection of our own mental structure. What you think, you create. And here is the key. Thoughts are not just passing ideas. They are vibrations that shape our existence. Neuroscience has confirmed that our thinking patterns generate neural networks that reinforce our beliefs and perceptions. If you constantly think about scarcity, limitation, and fear, your mind will program your reality to confirm those beliefs. That is why the secret of awakening is not in eliminating the mind, but in becoming its master. These are some points that will help you achieve it. Conscious observation. Learn to write down your thoughts without identifying with them. You are not your mind. You are the consciousness that observes it. The detachment of limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just an idea that I adopted without questioning? The power of intention. Direct your thoughts towards the reality you desire, instead of allowing them to drag you towards fear and doubt. The mental body is the bridge between the earthly and the divine, but there is a higher level that transcends it completely. This is the most subtle level of our existence. The spiritual body is not just a philosophical concept. It is the essence of what we really are. While the physical body belongs to the world of matter, the emotional body to the world of sensations, and the mental body to the realm of thoughts, the spiritual body is the direct connection with the universal consciousness. In Hinduism, it is called Atman, the true being that transcends the ego. In Buddhism, it is known as the Buddhic nature, the state of enlightenment beyond the mind. In Hermetic philosophy, it is the divine spark that connects us with the whole. But here is the big problem. We live disconnected from our spiritual body. From birth, our attention is absorbed by the material world. We identify with the body, with the emotions, with the mind, but we forget the essential. Our true identity is pure, infinite, and eternal consciousness. The ego is the barrier that prevents this realization. It is the voice in our mind that tells us that we are separated, that we are only individuals with a beginning and an end. But this is an illusion. Mystical traditions teach that awakening is not learning something new, but remembering what we have always been. Here is a shocking truth. When we activate our spiritual body, fear disappears. Death ceases to be a threat because we understand that we are eternal. Anxiety dissolves because we know that life has a greater purpose. Confusion disappears because we stop looking for answers outside and begin to listen to our inner wisdom. If you practice these tips, you will be able to reconnect with your spiritual body. Silence and meditation. The mind creates noise, but the spirit speaks in silence. It takes time to be still. Observation of nature. Life itself is a reflection of everything. Observing it in depth reminds us of our connection with creation, living in the present. The spirit does not inhabit the past or the future, only in the now. The total presence is the key to the spiritual connection. When we achieve this connection, we realize that awakening is not something we should look for, but something that has always been inside of us. We have explored the 4 bodies that make up our existence. Physical body, our vehicle on earth; emotional body, the vibratory field of our experiences; mental body, the architect of our reality; spiritual body, our true essence, the connection with the whole. But here is the final truth. It is not enough to know them. We must integrate them into harmony. Many people make the mistake of focusing only on one level. Some live only in the physical body, worried about appearance and health, but disconnected from their essence. Others are trapped in the emotional body, being slaves of their feelings without understanding their origin. Many take refuge in the mental body, looking for intellectual answers without applying them in their real life. And a few touch the spiritual body, but without rooting it in matter. The true awakening occurs when all the bodies align and work together. When you take care of your physical body, heal your emotional body, train your mind, and awaken your consciousness, you become a complete being in balance with the universe. So, the final question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because now that you know, you can no longer go back. The decision is in your hands. Will you continue to live fragmented? Or will you take the responsibility of integrating your being and awakening to your maximum potential? The answer is not in this video. The answer is inside you. Now that we have explored the 4 bodies that make up our existence, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual, it is time to answer the most important question. How can we apply this knowledge in our daily life? Awakening is not an abstract concept or a distant goal. It is a daily practice, a constant commitment to our evolution. It is not enough to understand the theory. We must turn it into action. Here, I will show you how to balance and strengthen each of these bodies to achieve true harmony. Your physical body is the temple where the other 3 bodies inhabit. Without a healthy and balanced body, spiritual evolution becomes difficult. Most mystical traditions coincide with this. A sick and careless body is an obstacle to the expansion of consciousness. How can you take care of your physical body? Conscious nutrition. It is not just about eating, but about choosing foods that nourish your energy. Fresh, natural, and rich in vibration foods help you to increase your frequency, exercise, and movement. The body was designed to move. Inactivity creates energy blockages. Practicing yoga, martial arts, Walking barefoot on the ground or just dancing are ways to release stagnant energy. Reparative rest. Sleeping is not just a biological function, it is a regenerative tool. A deep rest allows your physical body to process and regain its balance. Energy detoxification. In addition to eliminating physical toxins, it is also important to clean your energy field. Showers with water and salt, baths in nature, and deep breathing exercises help to release negative energies. Remember, your body is a reflection of the internal state of your being. Take care of it, and it will respond to you with vitality. The emotional body is the bridge between matter and mind. This is where your fears, your traumas, and your joys reside. If you do not heal your emotions, you will continue repeating patterns of suffering. How can you balance your emotional body? Express without repressing. Emotions should not be denied or hidden. Anger, sadness, and fear are messages from your subconscious. Listen to them and express them consciously. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is the highest vibration you can generate. Be grateful for what you have and for what has not yet arrived. This reprograms your emotional body to abundance. Cut off energy ties. Many times we load with emotions that do not belong to us. Techniques such as the meditation of forgiveness or the visualization of energy tie cuts can free you from emotional bindings. Live in the present. Most of emotional suffering comes from being trapped in the past or in anxiety about the future. The present is the only real moment. Learn to inhabit it consciously. When you release repressed emotions and allow yourself to feel fully, you open yourself to an endless energy expansion. The mental body is the architect of your experience. Everything you believe manifests in your life. If you do not master your mind, you will live in a cycle of repetitive and limiting thoughts. How can you strengthen your mental body? Question your beliefs. Not all the ideas you have about yourself and the world are real. Ask yourself, does this belief expand or limit me? Reprogram your inner dialogue. The subconscious mind is molded by the words you use to yourself. Change, I cannot, by I am in process. Avoid overload of information. In a world of constant stimuli, filtering what you consume is essential. Reduce exposure to negative news and toxic content. Exercise concentration. The dispersed mind is weak. Practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and creative visualization strengthen your focus and clarity. Mastering the mind is the definitive step towards inner liberation. Remember, you are the observer of your thoughts, not their slave. The spiritual body is the ultimate truth of your existence. It is the divine spark within you, the connection with the whole. But this connection must be cultivated. How can you activate your spiritual body? Silence and contemplation. Spirituality is not in books, it is in direct experience. Learn to listen to the voice of silence. Meditation and conscious breathing. Breathing is the key to the connection with the divine. Each inhalation is a bridge to eternity. Service and compassion. Real spirituality is not just introspection. It is to act with love, help others, and be a channel of light for the world. Recognize unity. You are not a separate being. You are an expression of the universe. When you understand this, fear disappears and life is filled with purpose. Connecting with the spiritual body does not mean abandoning the earthly, but raising the human experience to its maximum expression. If something has revealed to us this journey, it is that we are more than we think we are. We are not just a body that breathes, feels, and thinks, but a complex structure of different levels of existence that interact constantly with each other. The world has conditioned us to see ourselves in a limited way, to identify only with our physical or mental part, forgetting that in reality we are a set of energies in motion, a balance between matter and spirit, between the visible and the invisible. The knowledge of the four bodies gives us a more complete perspective of our existence. Each of them fulfills an essential function, and when we understand their nature, we acquire the power to align them. This alignment is the true awakening. It is the moment when we stop being slaves to our automatic thoughts, our uncontrolled emotions, and the routine that society imposes on us. It is when we become the conscious creators of our own reality. But this awakening does not happen by magic. It is not enough to understand these concepts on an intellectual level. It must be lived, practiced, integrated. Aligning our bodies requires constant work. Taking care of our physical body with healthy habits, learning to manage our emotions without repressing them or letting ourselves be dragged by them, training our mind to be an ally instead of a prison, and above all, connecting with our spiritual body, that essential nucleus that reminds us that we are more than our earthly identity. The ancient wise men already knew it. There is no unbalanced enlightenment. An individual who only focuses on spiritual development but neglects his physical body. Sooner or later, he will face the limits of his fragility. In the same way, someone who only cares about his material well-being but ignores his emotional and mental world will live with an emptiness that no wealth can fill. The key is integration. Now that you have come this far, the question is not whether you can awaken, but whether you are willing to do so. Because information alone does not change anything. It is the action that transforms, and that power is only in your hands. There are no secret formulas or pre-designed paths. Each person must find his own balance, his own way of working with these four bodies to build a more conscious, fuller, more aligned life with his true purpose. This is the beginning of a new way of experiencing existence. If something you have heard today has resonated in you, do not ignore it. Reflect, but also act. Apply what you have learned. Bring this wisdom to your daily life and observe how your way of seeing the world changes. And if you want to continue exploring these mysteries and unveil even more truths about your existence, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and leave your comment. Share your thoughts, your experience, and your path. Because this knowledge should not only remain in you, but also expand, grow, and help others find their own awakening. Awakening is a journey, not a destination. See you in the next step of this transformation.